Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Noelle and today we are going to talk about my first impressions of the Under Armour Flow Velociti Wind. So I wrote about this shoe when Under Armour sent me the press release, but to my surprise, they sent me my very own pair of shoes to try out. So naturally, I had to take it out for a spin and see what the fuss was all about. I will put these shoes through their paces, but today's video is just about telling you what the shoe is, what my impressions of it came out to be, and kind of give you a teaser into what I will be reviewing when I do put out the full review on this shoe. So I'm going to refer to my blog post about the Flow Velociti Wind. You can see it also on my blog, and I will link to it in the little box below, or you can click up here. The Flow Velociti Wind is Under Armour's lightweight performance running shoe. Now, you might have noticed that a lot of the shoes I've reviewed recently have been, shoes have been getting thicker soles and lots more cushioning. Well, the Flow Velociti Wind kind of flies in the face of that trend, and the biggest thing about it is it does not have a blown rubber outsole. So Under Armour developed a new kind of foam, which they called the Flow, UA Flow, and what it is, it's supposed to be very supportive, responsive, and grippy, even without a rubber outsole. And the advantage to not having a rubber outsole is that you can make shoes much lighter than they normally would be if they had to have that blown rubber outsole on the bottom. I think the press release said that they could have shaved 2 to 3 ounces off the weight of a shoe. And so the shoe comes in at around 8.5 ounces for the men's size 9 and 8.02 ounces for the women's size 7. So for those of us who do not use ounces in our measuring system, like here in the Philippines, we usually use grams for weight of things or kilograms. So let's say we are looking at 8.02 ounces, and that is 227 grams. That's so light. The Flow midsole actually made its debut in Stephen Curry's signature shoe, the Curry Flow 8. And I think Under Armour was kind of developing both the running and the basketball shoe side by side, so they could use the learnings from each of these disciplines to kind of feed into how they would eventually construct the shoe. Another thing that trickled down from an earlier debut in Under Armour's shoe lines is the Warp upper. Now, this came from their track and field line of shoes, and what this does is that there's an interlinking web of supportive tapes and some threads. And these don't hold taut all the time. They only tense up when your foot is moving through a certain phase in the stride, and then they relax when you don't actually need them. So I think that there are some stripes here. These ones kind of control the movement of your foot as it pulls forward. And then as your foot goes through that forward motion, then the shoe actually relaxes. So you don't always feel like your foot is in a vice, but you have reasonable lock-in into the whole platform of the shoe. Now, in my earlier blog post, I mentioned that the Flow Velociti Wind would debut or drop in Philippine stores sometime at the beginning of April. But it actually got here earlier than that, and it's now available in Under Armour physical stores. Now, if you prefer to do your shopping online, it's also available on the underarmour.com.ph website, but As I mentioned in an earlier vlog, which you might be able to watch up here, the local Under Armour distributor basically takes care of the shoes that you buy in stores, and a central company in Singapore takes care of the shoes that you buy from the Under Armour official website. Like I mentioned, if you're buying shoes online, you're basically gambling. Not really gambling because you're assured that it's legit, but you don't know how the shoe will fit on your feet, and not quite sure about the after sales as well. If you're getting them locally, then you probably have a bit more customer service available to you. Let's now go into my first impressions of running in the Under Armour Flow Velociti Wind. On the date I received these shoes, I actually did not run in them because I'd already done my workout then. But the following day, I turned on my watch and the watch said, "You should do sprints." It was like a sign. Perfect sign to use these lightweight performance shoes and see how much speed I could actually get out of myself while wearing them. So I put them on, and they were extremely light on my feet. Like, I usually feel some swing weight of the shoe when I put it on, but with these it was like I was wearing flip-flops, to be honest. They were not heavy at all. I think though that they're a bit of a race fit, so they run kind of snug. Now, even if I got my actual size in running shoes, which is an 8.5, you know the rule of thumb they say, right? You're supposed to be able to put your thumb here, and there's space between the tip of your big toe and the end of the shoe. Well, yeah, there was space here, but the upper actually kind of lies quite low on the foot. So you'll probably see your big toe up here, and if you've got a bit of a more voluminous foot, you might be able to see your foot bulge out of, well, into this upper. Now the upper is quite flexible and quite collapsible, so even if it does feel quite snug, you're probably not gonna have much issue with dead toenails, hopefully. I think it will flex and accommodate the volume of your foot. But if you have any doubts, you could probably go up another half size. Now, I do have to mention that this tongue, while it is movable, it is attached. Basically, the tongue has a flap that's attached to the upper, I guess. I'm not sure if you can see it. There you go. See that? That is the side of the tongue. This is the tongue. So it's meant to keep the tongue from really moving side to side inside the shoe. But what I've found is that you do tend to feel the rub of this tongue construction on the top of your foot and on the side of your feet. I think my feet aren't that voluminous, so I had some extra fabric on that connector flap with the tongue and the shoe. And if I weren't wearing socks, that would have become an issue. It would become a point of chafing. So just a little note that if you do plan on wearing these sockless, you're gonna have to build into it. Thankfully, I don't really go sockless, so that wasn't an issue for me on this run. Let's talk about that run. I don't have footage of it because I normally do not take video of myself trying a shoe for the first time. Because what happens is you tend to kind of try to make yourself run pretty, and you try to make yourself like the shoe because it's on video. And I don't want to color my first experience of any shoe with that sort of thing. So I basically ran and I did not take any video evidence of that. But that gives me a lot of insight into how I was actually feeling during the run. So I have to mention that I have not done any sprints in the past 2 years. The last time I did any track session, which usually are my speed sessions, that the last time was in 2019, so it's 2021 now. And it was certainly a jolt to the system, this speed work, these sprints, because these were 10-second all-out sprints with 3 minutes recovery in between them. During the sprints, I felt really quite fast. I wasn't thinking about the shoe on my feet, and I was just basically focused on the motion of trying to get my body to move forward as fast as it could. And so that meant a lot of arm swing and a lot of leg drive, driving the foot into the ground and pushing forward. And the next day, I was so sore. But this is the kind of soreness that's not joint soreness, and that's, if I feel sore in my joints, that means that I didn't get the cushioning that I needed for the kind of intensity of the workout that I did. But all of the pain that I experienced the next day, all of the soreness, was muscular. And so you know that it was your muscles that bore the brunt of the work. And I think that this midsole material, this Flow midsole material, still did a good job of cushioning my body from the intensity of that pavement landing. Now, of course, I cannot speak to how these will feel over the long run. I did 5 kilometers that day. Felt pretty good, except for the soreness because I was doing sprints that I haven't done in a while. And that's why I need to run in these a bit more, just to kind of feel how they feel at other paces and at other distances. Because these shoes are supposed to be used for tempo runs, long fast runs, and races. And you're supposed to have a neutral sort of foot, so you shouldn't, it doesn't really give you a lot of support this way or that way. So you have to have a certain natural stability in your stride in the first place. And so, yeah, I'm going to run in these for a bit longer, like another month. Now, I have to say that the Flow Velociti Wind reminds me a lot of my old Speedform Apollo shoes. And I've mentioned this before, if not in the vlog, then in my blog. And I still have those shoes here. They're a bit old and the plastic is kind of yellowing and all that. But this is the Speedform Apollo 2 with some elastic laces that I put in there. These are also, I think they're just slightly under 300 grams in weight. And the soles are quite kind of the same thickness, I guess. Yeah, they're kind of the same thickness. Just a little bit more of a wave in the Flow Velociti Wind. This one's a bit more straight, I guess. These have a blown rubber outsole, while the Flow Velociti Wind does not. But it's basically, I think it's the same foot shape that they've used. And they also do have the same kind of little notch on the heels. I think the only difference between the Flow Velociti Wind and the Speedform Apollo, aside from the removable insoles of these ones versus this does not have a removable insole. I think the main difference really is the lack of the outsole in the Flow Velociti Wind. And also there's no composite. I think this one had a composite shank in here that gave some stability, while I don't think these Flow Velociti Winds have been built with any shank stability. In fact, look at that! It's super flexy! And if you haven't come to the conclusion yet, the Speedform Apollo was one of my favorite shoes before it got phased out by Under Armour. And so it's nice to see that sort of design and use philosophy cycling back into the running shoes that they're releasing. And that makes me really excited to keep using these Flow Velociti Winds. Now, I have to mention that the Flow Velociti Wind is also a connected shoe, so that you can use it with your Map My Run app. You don't need this watch. You just need this shoe. You actually don't need the phone until after, when you're going to analyze your run. And yeah, both the watch and the shoes recorded the same kind of distance, which was 5 kilometers. But what the Flow Velociti Wind and the connected, connected feature does is it analyzes your pace, your steps per minute, and even where on your foot you're striking. So it can tell you if you're striking here, or striking here on the heel. So that's pretty amazing and very insightful stuff. I'm interested to see all that data crunched by the Map My Run app as I continue to run in the Flow Velociti Wind. Hopefully it makes me a more efficient runner, and it helps me to pick up the speed these days. In any case, yeah, there is so much to be excited about when using the Under Armour Flow Velociti Wind. So watch this space for my full review of this shoe. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and you found it interesting, you found yourself getting hyped, please do give me a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you again next time. Bye!